Hi, this is Matt Connors. I'm picking up where I left off. So I'm using a program called Silo from Never Center, and I'm using it as the source of inspiration to create 2D content, essentially illustrations. And I like to make edits in Photoshop or other tools. I'm using VizCom to take a render that I'm making within Milo, which is the render package that Never Center also makes, and it's a good partner with Silo. But back into the modeling that I have here. So I described in the first video how Silo is a pretty straightforward program where you can make you can use custom primitives of different types, and then you can make modifications. I'm going to go ahead and just create a simple cube. And as I described, you can make standard edits, and you can also use symmetry if you want to make something that you might be able to extrude from multiple sides at the same time. Let me just go ahead and hit the F key to then show how this might work. So symmetry mode toggle is a way to make sure that now I've got symmetry going across this axis right here. So if I wanted to, let's say, extrude, it'll extrude from both sides at the same time. That's a really convenient way to make objects into your scene. And you can, by using symmetry, you can create a good deal of complexity right away. And so I did, when I was making this model, I did use some symmetry tools. And then other times I used existing content within a structure to make another object. Like here is a good example. I had this bridge and I had extruded to make the bridge, extruded the face that was right along here to extrude. This is a model I pulled in from outside. It's part of a kit. I like to have these kind of stand-ins to act as the actors in the scene, It's helpful for me to figure out the scale. Now, I didn't go ahead and verify the scale to make sure that this character is like 2 meters, but you can do that. A lot of people do work that way. Because I knew I wasn't sending this anywhere but to a renderer, I didn't really care about that. But if you look at this object right here, I can show how you can use one object to create another. In this case, I've got an object, and it's just a modified cube. And then if I wanted to make this piece right here, I could do it in a couple different ways. I could either cut this and then separate the portions, or I could just start with a face, and that's what I did here. I just use Command Cut and Command Paste. And so you do want to make sure as you're working on content like this that your normals, which are basically the imaginary line that faces outward from any object or faces on an object. So I'm just going to go ahead and show the normal. So you can actually see that orange line that's coming out of it. That's a normal. You always want the normal to be facing out on any given object. So I'm going to take this face and I'm going to go ahead and hit the Z key and extrude. So when I extrude, then I have this other face. It's automatically selected, and I can then go ahead and just reduce the size this way. And in that way, I'm kind of recreating what you see here. But you notice there's a mistake. Because I'm extruding from a face, I have kind of an open edge over here. And Silo has a couple different features that you can use to resolve this, and I'm going to go through them. One of them would be if I just took an edge and then an opposite edge, and I use Shift B, which is bridge. And you can also find a lot of these up in the modify right here. I tend to use the keyboard shortcuts just because I've been using Silo for a while. Now that I know that this object has its normals facing in the right direction, I'm going to go ahead and go into the object display menu and hide the normals. I'm going to undo for just a second to show you another way we could solve this problem. You could extrude one of the faces, or one of the edges rather. Now you got to watch it because this is not connected. These vertices are not connected in any way, but it's very easy to fix. What you can do is select one of the vertices, and then on the edge of this box, you could just hit Shift. Now both of these vertices are selected. I hit Control M, which is the merge, and I believe that can be found up here in Modify. Yeah. And I'll do that again right over here, and Control M. And one last way that we could do this, I'm going to go back a bit, is you can use a polygon tool, which is P. And then polygon tool, you can go ahead and select vertices, and you see that there's this kind of bounding area that is transparent green. That's just indicating that's where a new face would be. Now the face is connected. So now this is one continuous object, which is really nice. Oh, look at that. It's actually not. I must have made a mistake. Well, how did that happen? Well, easy enough to fix. I could go ahead and connect these faces together. Actually, I would have to group the objects. Maybe this is the intent here. I'm going to go ahead and merge. I think I need to merge these so it becomes one object. Okay, perfect. Now I have more faces than I originally intended. I'm going to go ahead and just extend these, and that should give me something similar to what I had before. So made a mistake there, but maybe it's good. We learn from our mistakes. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that in. I'm not sure how I missed the vertices there, but I did. And that is how you make a similar structure. Now obviously here it was a bit simpler. There were fewer faces. I don't mind that though. I'm going to go ahead and delete that and back out a little bit to this point right here. Okay, and then after this I'm going to show how you can make UVs, which if you have simple UVs, you can notice here I went into the view pane and I'm hitting the space bar so I could see UV 3D I had selected and UV 2D. You can change any of these to represent, you can have the front view. This is pretty handy so you can view in perspective and front at the same time. A lot of 3D programs have this kind of view pane navigation. I like the way Silo has it set up, or Silo has it set up. It's pretty straightforward. All right, I'm going to go into UV mapping next, but I thought this was helpful to show how you can make one object from another or an extension based on a face. All right, thanks so much, and I will continue in a little bit.